All right, everybody, what's going on? Happy Sunday to you and yours. It's the Bay Ragni Show. We're back after a little break for the last month and a half. But it's a Sunday afternoon if you're here in the States. But if you're like my good friend over here, Mr. Jay Pepper of Tigertailz, it's Sunday night in the UK.
It is, mate. Yeah, but that's okay. We're here and we're looking forward to it. So thank you very much for having me, Bay.
Absolutely. Hey, it's not every day you get to talk to a glam rock legend like yourself.
I'm nearly 60. I don't. There's not much glam left in me, I tell you.
So, all right. So, Jay, let's get into it. New singer, new music, new shows. There's all types of new things happening in the world of Tigertailz. I'm happy and excited by that, and I'm also a little shocked and surprised because it seemed after the last situation with your last singer, it seemed like it was a very bad situation, and you almost kind of sounded like on social media. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like it was going to be like the end of Tigertailz.
Yeah, I mean, it was. It was as simple as that. We'd had so many, lineup changes and been through it all. I was kind of done with it, and I set about working on effectively what I was going to be my own solo record, which
Oh, okay.
I was happy with. I just didn't care what anyone thought of it, but because I was just done, I thought I'd done everything I ever wanted to do with this band. I didn't think I could take it any further with the people we had in it, and then it became a real problem. The previous singer, really stitched us up with that. But that anyway, that's by the by. But I didn't want to go around that loop again of trying to bring somebody else in and find that buzz and equilibrium again. But what happened was Ashley came in, and fair play to him. I mean, I dismissed it from the initial. We had what always happens is when like most bands, I'm sure any band of it has had any kind of success. When somebody leaves, you get a flood of you know uh, people apply in one shape or form or that. And we had some good people who could sing or didn't really look right or didn't look great but just had no voice or wasn't going to cut it.
Right.
And I Ashley came in and it was immediately clear that his voice was like, whoa, okay, wow, and my first reaction was, what is this guy applying for this job for? Because clearly his image and his whole background and the band he was in, Power Quest were their own very established, successful band in their own genre of music. I was like, why? How? This is like, what's going on here? I was like,
Right.
why does this guy want to be in our band? And so I kind of dismissed it from that point of view. And again, I was just done with the whole thing. But about a month after that, and then we were pretty honest with Ashley and anyone who applied. We just said, look, we just don't think the band's going to move forward. But thanks for your sort of application kind of thing. But he came back about a month after that and said, look, let's just have a chat. And
Hmm.
which was to his credit really. And we got on the phone. Cut a long story short, he came down, and then as soon as he sang those songs off the Berserk album, and a few others we did in the studio, it was evident. It was like, whoa, this excites me again, because it wasn't
Right.
just, it was his voice. He just, I mean, he's got his own thing going on, but he also sounded a bit like him originally did.
Yeah.
And for years, and this is a big thing for me and people, I guess, people who listen to music probably don't hear it so much, but with previous singers, and we'd gone from tuning like a lot of bands do. You see, particularly legacy acts, the older you get, you can't hit those notes. And the first thing singers expect the band to or want the band to is to tune down. So we'd gone down
Sure.
like half a step. Then for the next singer, we were down to like a tone. And I remember seeing Rat in the sort of 80s, the 90s, and thinking, you kind of struggle to hear, you distinguish what the songs are when they start
Yeah.
playing. You're like, oh, what is that? I don't, and that's what I felt ours were like, because I just, you're so used to hearing something in a particular key that when it's tuned down half a step, you kind of get away with the tone. Nah. And I hated it. I hated tuning down the tone, and we tuned down the whole set, the tone. And so when Ashley came in, he didn't just sing the songs amazingly. We tuned them straight back up into straight, E440 tuning, and it was like,
Wow.
wow, it was like, this excites me. And I just thought that people needed to hear it. So it was as simple as that. And I thought, well, okay. And we had some very frank discussions, because he still doesn't look like a guy you would expect to be in this band. Let's face it.
Right.
he's the last thing probably people would expect it. But I'm amazed how many people have not only accepted him, but they're so. It's all about the voice now, isn't it? The singer, like it always
Mhm.
should have been, really. And
Sure.
we've long since passed that point of what giving a shit what anyone thinks about us. I mean, it just sounded great, and like I said, it enthused me, excited me, and I thought people needed to hear it. So that's how we got back going again, and here we are.
When you were going through like that month's time where it was looking like truly the end of Tigertailz, I mean, what did that look like to you though? I mean, you've been doing this for what, almost 40 years. I mean, it kind of be like a pretty sad situation to like actually look at it like that could truly be hitting you now.
Yeah, I mean, me and Pepsi made when we came back around in 2004, five, whatever that was. Me and Pepsi, because he wasn't keen on this whole getting the band back together thing, and both he and I were successful in our other careers outside of this.
Right.
And he said, and we basically said the same thing to each other, like, if we're going to do this, it doesn't take over our lives again like it did the first time around. It doesn't mean that much to
Hmm.
me, and I don't want it to be that thing. And we
Okay.
both said that's what we're going to do. And I was like, okay, I'm on the same page as you totally. We'll step in and we'll step out when we see fit, and that's what we've always done. So we differ, and we have differed, even though we're at like a professional level, and like a lot of other bands, we don't go on those 100 date tours a
Right.
year and play in your front room if need be, because we need the money. We don't need the money. We totally financially stable from my point of view. I fund the band effectively, and it's operational because I choose to do it, and that's how we ran the business. So we run the business. And so that differs from a lot of bands who just go out there and they need to play because they need the money. I respect
Yeah.
that. People got to earn a living. I get it. But we didn't do that. We made the promise to each other that we wouldn't do that. So when it came to me hanging it
That's
up, as you
that's
say, when it's finished, I was like, I done everything I wanted to do. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I wanted to be in a band.
right.
I wanted to sell records, make a record, sell records, play in front of people, and I've surpassed everything I could have ever imagined. So I was quite comfortable with it. Really, it didn't bother me too much. But like I said, Ash changed that in him coming to the table with something I wasn't expecting. So that's the reason for coming back to it, and I'm enjoying it again. I have to say, which is great.
That's awesome. It's funny too. So I was even going to ask you, and you brought Pepsi up. Like, did you at any point sit down and say to yourself, like, what would Pepsi do if he was in my situation? Would he keep it going, or
Yeah, I honestly, I've had that. The biggest time I had that word with myself, that conversation with myself, was after he died. Because literally after he passed, we were due to do we did like a fundraiser thing immediately, but then straight away we were due to do a tour with Y&T in the UK, who are very good friends of ours, and I, along with a few of the other guys, but went over that over and over, time and time again with myself. And I thought, I came to the conclusion, it seemed wrong perhaps to a lot of people. How could you carry on? But on the other hand,
right?
I had him in my ear, and I know what he would have said. He would have said, mate,
Hmm.
get on with it, get out there. He was very much a guy who lived for today. If there's a bottle of whiskey on the table on a Sunday night, he's going to drink it. You know what I mean? Never mind what the effects of tomorrow are. He lived every moment for the now, and he would have said to me, get on with it. And since then, and I mean, that's now, where were we, 15 or more years ago, everything we've done, I always run that through my head, and I think, would you be happy with this? He'd go, yeah. And they call me Mick. It's a long story. My nickname in the band is Mick because I look like Mick Marsh years ago, so everyone calls me Mick. He'd say, Mick, mate, it's great. Get on with it. Brilliant. I'm completely at ease with that and totally safe with how he'd feel about it all.
I got to say too, when you guys redid for tribute to Pepsi, "Fall in Love Again" with Susie Chunk,
Oh, right.
brings me to tears every time. It really does.
Well, that one there's a bit of a strange one because we felt we should do something. And I mean, I was also of the kind of thing, he was very, he wasn't one for drawing too much attention to himself. I know that sounds ridiculous because he looked like this big bombshell. That's at odds with himself. But he wouldn't have liked all that. He said, "Oh, for God's sake, cut it out. Nobody needs that." He wasn't too sentimental in that way. He would have been very uncomfortable with it. So, but it came around that 10 years. What was it? 2017, and I felt we should do something. And it was difficult to know, do you go down that road of doing something that big bombastic song like Love Bomb Baby or something that, we wrote together. Or I thought, I don't know, that just seemed more fitting really. And Sue sung in the studio on another take. I can't remember, we were doing something else and she sang it. So I had a rough mix of it and I thought, wow, her vocal on that is so cool.
Yeah.
And then when we got in and we started looking at all the footage, particularly that last gig he did at when we played the Gods of Metal with Motley Crue
Mhm.
and Scorpions and that was kind of quite tough to watch because he was so ill and his wife Sean
Mhm.
carried him to that gig in Italy. It was brutal,
Wow.
so putting all that together, it just kind of made sense, and there was that last walk to the stage we did. Yeah, I hear you. I feel the same. I watched it. Funny enough, the other night I watched it, and yeah, it pulls all the strings,
It
So
does.
there you go. It's life, man. What do you do? And
It is.
he'd say the same. Just get on with it, man. Just get on with it. And he would love everything we do. And I got no problem with that. I'm totally at ease with it.
Well, something you addressed too in video, I guess is late last year, was after the whole situation happened where you guys had no singer in limbo, what was going to happen, and you addressed the no old members coming back. As much as people ask for it, it's just not going to happen. And I was going to even say like, you know, I guess it was maybe it was Anthrax. It was one of them bands where it was like they went through a few singers, and it's like at that point, what do you do? Like, do you go back in time and pull back the old singer like they did with Joey Belladonna? It's like, what do you do? And I kind of felt like you were in that similar situation, and you were like you said, you move forward.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things, when we sort of actually we decided to move forward with him, people get wind of that, and there was, all sorts of rumors kicking around that, Kim's coming back, Ace is coming back, and it just got a bit ridiculous, and I thought I needed to say something to put that to bed once and for all, because my view is, and this is a fact of life, really. I'm nearly 60, next year. Matt's not too far behind me, but as you get older, there's not many singers who can hit those notes, and
Sure.
deliver that kind of performance. And also, people don't work in the band. It's why Peter Criss and Ace Frehley aren't in Kiss, and it's why Guns N' Roses haven't got so and so in, and you name 100 bands.
Yeah.
Bands, if somebody doesn't work in the band, it's never going to work. So, and I just thought, what we need here, it's not just new people. We need younger people to deliver those performances. And it just so happened that Ash is only like, well, him and Bertie, the bass player, who are like the real engine room now of the band, are like
Hmm.
mid-30s, you know what I mean? And so he could smash it out of the park, and they can, and carry us old codgers along.
Right.
Um, but there was no way I thought the band could work and be, if you want to go out and I saw we play with just about everyone, and Journey had a lot of stick for it when they first came back around with Steve Aguirre or whatever. But I stood there, we played at Festival Sweden Rock and watched them, and it blew my mind. But before
Right.
that, I was like, oh, it's Journey without Steve Perry. How can that ever be? But I
Hmm.
watched it and I thought, man, incredible. You know what I mean? So I've stopped. I changed. That changed my kind of whole outlook on it, and I just thought, I always view the band like a football club, and or American football, baseball, sports club, whatever you want to call it. You don't shut the club down because somebody leaves every season or whatever. You recycle
Right.
it. It becomes a brand, and you got to keep going. And I know we all want to see, original lineups of stuff. I want to see, AC/DC with Bon Scott. I want to see,
Absolutely.
you name it. But it's never going to happen because that was then and this is now. But
Yeah.
if I go and see AC/DC, I'll know they'd be playing all the songs I love and I'll enjoy it, because they got the right people in the band, and that's what it is. I mean, it becomes that simple. You either have a band that works with these people in it, or no band at all, and that's it's as simple as that for me.
Could you ever see? With that being said, could you ever see Tigertailz continuing on without you? Would you like put your blessing on that? We've heard Gene and Paul talk about they could see basically a tribute band of Kiss going and carrying on the.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we could, how long you got? We could talk all day about the Kiss bandwagon, I'm sure. I think their value and branding is a lot bigger than ours. But no, I don't think so. I mean, who knows? I don't know. I'm completely, I know where this band is at. We're not setting the world on fire. We're not relevant in any way, but we did something, and we kind of got a vibe. And actually, we sound great. We sound better than we have done. So if you want to stick us out there and put us on a festival, we're going to smash it up and be brilliant. I know we are, and that's great. And at 60 years of age, I can't ask for any more than that. If I could do it for another couple of years, that's it. Great. You know what I mean? Just take it while you can. I was fortunate enough to see a lot of those bands that we now are either finished or certainly on their last legs, in their prime, AC/DC, Slade, another one who don't play anymore, with Noddy Holder. And,
Right.
it's something else to see those bands. I just say to people, get it while you can, because it ain't going to be here forever. So,
True.
yeah, I don't know. I don't think the band will carry on, but what do I know? I don't know.
Is there any Tigertailz tribute bands in the UK?
I don't know about tribute bands. I mean, people cover our stuff. We see that quite a lot. I'm not aware of a tribute band. I mean, I think we're that, aren't we? There's so many different people in the band. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
So when you guys when you decided to introduce Ashley to the public, you redid one of the classic Tigertailz songs, Sex. Why that one?
Well, exactly the reason I said with him, when Ash came down and sung a few songs, 6X was one of the ones he sang, and it was like I sat there. Well, obviously he was in the main studio, but in the singing booth, and I sat there with the engineer guy at Red Rock Studios, Lyndon, who records all our stuff, and we looked at each other and we're like, "Oof, that's all right, isn't it? That's all right, mate." I thought that you could feel the Welsh mountains were vibrating there with his vocal cords. I thought, wow, that's the shit. People need to hear that. And so when it came to putting that out there for people, I thought, let's pick a song that everyone knows. We'd never released 6X off this album, Behind Me Berserk. Actually, we'd never released that as a single. So I thought, well, why not? It was a bit difficult when it came to doing the video because the lyrics and the song sentiment was very edgy. And I thought, and I had a tussle with myself and the director of the video, because I sent him the script, the screenplay thing of it, how I wanted it to go. And he was like, man, that's like a snuff movie. We can't do that. So we had some very frank conversations about what we could and couldn't do. And he managed to get some actors in and make it brutal and models. But because I didn't want to take it away from what the track was about originally, it's no good judging these things by the standards of today. I mean, you wouldn't write a song like that now and expect anyone to think it was okay, but it's 30 years ago, you know what I mean? And I just thought it was the right, let's give people something immediately they can hear, because also it was just uncanny the way he managed to sing like Kim. I'm not sure it was intentional. He just has that, what it's like. When you sing somebody else's song, it's a very natural thing, human thing. I think you will emulate that voice to a certain extent. But it was just brilliant, and I thought people should hear that first before we do a new track. So that was the reason for that, and just to gradually introduce him to people with something they knew.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as when I heard, the first thing I said was like, "Wow, he sounds just like Kim." I couldn't believe how close he was. It was very impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, he put some of his own shapes on there as well, and it was banging, and that was pretty much what we put out. We brought him down again to fix like what we call the audition tapes, his takes that he did for the audition. And I mean, I don't think he changed hardly anything, it was like maybe a word or two, but I mean, next to nothing. It was like, well, actually, that's great in this. Let's just put that out. So yeah, it was banging, man. It was great.
That's awesome. And then I guess you guys a few weeks back put out the first official new single of new music with you guys. You Can't Stop the Rock. What an amazing video! Over the top, nice big stage, fireworks, everything's going on.
That's the hammer, isn't it? That's what you want. That's the hammer. 80s metal.
There you
That's what
go.
we are. And it was a very conscious effort to write that song. I've got other songs written because, like I said, we were doing stuff, and Ash had sung some of them, but I didn't feel they were, because the new stuff's a little bit more musical, I'd say. I don't know. But I just thought, let's give people, what this band is all about, because I wanted that. It was a very much paying homage to, that 80s, 90s metal, which we're part of. That's what we did. And I thought it needs to have a big chorus, big bombastic video. And even the image, we kind of honed everything in there. I don't know if anyone's like the attention to detail. We got in touch with Marshall, amplification, who are buds of ours, and they loaned us like the back line. We wanted to make everything as like authentic, like a typical classic kind of 80s video. But the song as well is full of, references to the bands, great bands of the day, the lyrics and the riffs in there. And it was all a bit, bit of Van Halen, bit of Quiet Riot, bit of get everything in there, trying to load it all up with every kind of 80s cliches you could. Because I wanted it to be fun. I wanted it to be metal in your face, straight from the
Hmm.
off without screaming. But I also wanted to be fun and like completely like everyone get over yourselves with the current scene, because it's all this angst. You're metal, yeah, great, whatever. Heard it all before, and everyone needs a good shower and a shave. You know what I mean? Uh, and I wanted it to be everything that our genre and our era was about. And I thought, but we toned down the image. It's not so much of a glam thing anymore. We're
Right.
into that kind of classic rock thing. And the next song, which we're going to do a 4-track EP very soon. It's pretty much done, which will be 2 brand new tracks on the A side, and then You Can't Stop the Rock and 6X on the B side. Because I don't want people
Okay.
waiting for a new album like another year, And but what we're going to do here is release that on physical vinyl. So people, if they want the 2 new songs, they got to buy the vinyl first before it'll get released on the
Mm.
digital platforms. And the reason for that is I'm so sick of the music business being a non-business these days. It's a lost art form, the vinyl. I know there's been a resurgence with it, but you can't stress enough how important those album covers were back in the day. You name them, they're
So
instantly
true.
recognizable. You picked up Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here, or I mean, you name a thousand albums.
Hmm.
AC/DC, Back in Black, or If You Want Blood, You Got It. Even Shout the Devil, our own album cover. Instantly,
Yeah.
I know that's that band. And when you bought it, you just thought, whoa. You looked at it and read everything on the cover and inside on the even on the vinyl scratching. It was a tangible thing you had in your hands. And
Yeah.
I thought, well, if you're a fan of this band, and this isn't a money making exercise, it's never been about that for me. This is purely to get people. If you want to hear the 2 new songs from this band and not wait another year for a new album, there it is. Pre-order the vinyl, you'll get it before anybody else. Because we have come under some criticism because we're like a lot of bands. It's so expensive to go out and tour and do anything anymore since COVID. I don't know what it's like in the
Sure.
US, but in Europe, it's just gone insane. And of course, in the UK, we've had the whole Brexit thing. It's crippling, so that the costs are just gone exponentially through the roof. So us going out and playing live and all these kind of things is very difficult. And I just feel that having something tangible in your hands there to hold and actually play. We've come under some criticism. You say, well, you're just releasing stuff, for the age group that we appeal to. I don't have Spotify. I don't do streaming. Why do you release it on CD or vinyl? So that's what we're going to do here first and foremost.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah.
I was going to say, why not even go a step further? I know some people have even just started doing tape cassettes again.
Yeah. Hey, man, we're looking at that too. Yeah, definitely. I mean, the nostalgia here with all of them. You see a lot of those box sets, the Metallica ones. I saw
Yeah.
the Zakk Wylde thing. Amazing, just amazing box sets, fabulous. If you're a fan to buy those things, I love it. I love it. Great.
So, now show wise, you guys just did some dates with Steel Panther, and you did a couple festivals. Um, it seems pretty light though the rest of the year. Any surprises you have for us, or?
Well, we've got one more show festival the week after next. It's actually a charity event that we're doing for a very special lady that passed away recently in the north of England. I guess you guys in the US probably know too much about it, but Sheffield area, north of England. That's an all-day festival. We're doing that, headlining that, called the Destination Festival on Saturday the 15th. So that'll be really cool because it'll be a much more relaxed event. It's more a celebration of her life. She was a big support for younger bands and younger artists, really promoted them, helped them through, and very, very big loss to the community there.
Hmm.
So that's our last gig for this year at the moment. I mean, that's the other thing, Bay. I mean, like I was saying about the cost here, it's so expensive to go out and play now. To mobilize us, and when you're talking, I say entourage, it's just a band plus a bit of crew, people running the show, managing the band, and all that goes with it. It's thousands and thousands of pounds or dollars every night just to get out there,
Yeah.
and to make that work financially. And like I said, it's not about the money for us. It's more about the right show. So we'd only
Hmm.
play, when we want to play, if we think the show works for us. And when we get offered something, we'll do it. But at the moment, maybe not. But we are thinking about maybe we should do maybe a run of shows towards the end of the year. So watch this space. We're looking at that at the moment.
Cool.
And we'd love to get the US, but you guys just make it so insanely expensive to get there. Yeah. Your
Even for the
visa
bands that are
situation.
here,
Oh,
it,
mate.
it's tough.
It's insane. You guys, all the bands, they all come to the UK, no problem, for like a couple of $100, with an official work visa, they can do it. But for us to go the other way, it's tens of thousands, for a band like us.
Really?
Thousands. Yeah, you're looking, and like major grief. I mean, you're talking visiting embassies, the US embassy. There's nothing easy about it at all, and it's extremely expensive.
Wow.
Yeah. That's why a lot of bands don't get there. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I was
Mr.
wondering why. Like, I know like some very small indie bands from back when I was living in the Philadelphia area that would go over to Europe and do like a couple weeks in Europe, and I'm thinking to myself, how the hell are they barely play any shows here? How are they getting to Europe?
They make it quite cheap. Like I said, you can come officially into the UK because we're like a partner in country. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
We obviously have a connection. But for you guys, your musicians, to come here, it's pretty inexpensive to come in officially, and not too complicated to actually come in and play with a work visa for a few weeks. For us to do it the other way, a nightmare. You got to be sponsored over the other side. You got to list all your shows. You're looking at anything between $1,000 to $2,000 per person per visa. You
Oh,
have to
jeez.
take a trip to London. The bureaucracy involved in getting to fill in the forms. Then you have to go to the embassy in London to be interviewed and get your stamp if you're lucky enough to get it. And even then, you get to the airport, as we've had in the past. We were due to come over a few years ago. Had it all booked, came to the airport, and they wouldn't let our singer through. We didn't even make the flight. We had to all just turn around and go home. That happened. So yeah, it's everything but easy. So that's a shame.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
Hopefully that'll change.
That's why they call it the music business.
Anyway, we're boring everyone with that.
Yeah, right. Well, Jay, hey, I want to thank you so much for doing it. Thank you for opening up the doors of Tigertailz to us, and thank you for continuing on and
Hey, mate.
to
No
actually
problem.
to giving a kick in the ass to everybody and bringing this back to life.
Oh, thanks, mate. Thanks for having me on, fella. Really appreciate it. It's been great fun.
Absolutely. I got to ask you though before I let you go. I saw, I guess, recently somebody made you guys a Tigertailz Clint cake.
Oh, yeah, that on the Steel Panther tour, we had a super fan, a guy called Alan Burns from Belfast, and he got in touch. He helped us out actually. The whole Brexit thing. I'm not going to get too boring again, but that's another nightmare. Us going to now Ireland is like us going to the US. It's like a nightmare.
Wow.
Whereas before we just went in and out, no problem, because Ireland is in the EU and we're not anymore. Anyway,
Mm.
Alan helped us out with some logistical problems there, but he said, "Look, can I meet you at the hotel before you play the gig the night before? Because I'm a super fan. I've got all this stuff I want you to sign." So we said, "Yeah, of course." So he came to the hotel and brought all this stuff, and then he went back to his car. We thought we was just taking his stuff back. Then he came back in with this just most amazing cake that he and his wife had made for us. I mean, it's just incredible. Nobody wanted to eat it. We tried to keep it together for days, but it became so difficult.
I was gonna say, did you eat Clint?
No, he's still sitting on my window downstairs. He's a little bit worse for wear, but he's still going. The rest of it got eaten though. But yeah, lovely guy, amazing.
That's awesome. Jay, hey, again, congrats on everything. Thanks so much, and let's talk again soon in the near future. And hey, maybe somehow, some way, you guys end up in the U.S.
I think it'll happen, mate. Yeah, it'll happen. Great to talk to you as well. Thanks for having me.
You too. Take care, Jay.
Cheers, fella. Bye, man. Bye.
Bye.